Joining us now, we have Mike Litton. He is a realtor and a broker with Keller Williams Escondido. Hi, Mike. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for coming on the show. So tell me, how did you become a realtor? What made you want to get into the industry, and how long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been in the real estate industry for 21 years, a little over 21 years. And I actually started out on the lending side, and I had so many of my clients that I helped get into their properties ask me to help them with the next property. And eventually the request became overwhelming, and I got to a point to where I needed to just wake up and do it. And so it was a really smooth transition for me. It was something that I absolutely have a passion for home ownership. Anybody that knows me knows that. And so it's something I absolutely love to do.
So you've been doing it for how long? You said 20 years?
I've been in the real estate industry for 21 years.
So you've definitely seen some waves along the waves in the past 20 years.
Yeah, my timing's impeccable. When I got into the business, we were literally going off a cliff in the real estate market. And so, you know, I learned how to scrap. I learned how to survive. I learned how to actually thrive in a down market. And that helped us in the last few years, because when the down market hit again, it was something that I went right back to what I learned. And it was a good deal. It was a good thing.
Absolutely, yeah. We lost quite a few realtors, and
we did.
You know, a few years ago. So the fact that you were able to withhold and stand. Now tell me, so you are an REO specialist. What exactly is that, and how does that make you different from other realtors?
Well, it means I sell properties. REO stands for real estate owned. I sell properties for banks. So what happens is, when a bank takes a property back by foreclosure, they then have to sell that property to try and recoup some of their losses, some of their money. And so what I do is I list those properties for them, and I sell them.
So you are employed by the banks, essentially? Or?
Well, I'm a listing agent for the bank. So just like a traditional seller would list their property with me, the bank lists their property with me.
Okay. Now, is that, you know, comparatively speaking, last year to right now, have we got more REOs? Have we got less? Where is the REO market nowadays?
Compared to last year, we're up a little bit.
Okay.
Up a little bit, slightly. And we probably in the future will be up a little bit more in the next couple of years. There's a lot of shadow inventory on the ground in San Diego County. In fact, some estimates are there are 9,000 units on the ground in San Diego County that are what we call shadow inventory, which are bank-owned properties that just haven't made it to the market yet. And there are a number of different reasons. There are title issues, there are bankruptcy issues with the former owner. There are all kinds of things that potentially could cloud title. There are issues within the bank with regard to their records and that type of thing. So a lot of banks are working through a lot of that, and they're trying to get to a point to where they can get those properties on the market. So we probably will see an uptick. I don't think we'll feel it, because we have such an overwhelming demand right now and such a low amount of inventory. REOs are just not staying on the market. They're literally being priced, and they're being priced at the top of the market, and we're seeing them leave in 6 days on the market.
Wow. Now, are most of these buyers, are they investors? Are they your traditional home buyers?
Most of them are investors, and I would recommend that investors primarily who have a track record and know what they're doing buy REOs. I wouldn't necessarily suggest that a regular traditional buyer buy one, only because there's no disclosure. The banks never lived in that property. They have absolutely no disclosure whatsoever as to anything that's happened before. There could have been a flood, there could have been any number of things that have happened, roof leaks, whatever, and the bank doesn't know anything about it. They can't tell you. And so it's a highly risky venture for somebody to go into that's a first-time buyer or somebody who's owned before, because it's just not a traditional transaction. There's way too much risk involved.
Wow. Now, are the banks more enticed to sell to these cash buyers, these all cash buyers?
They're absolutely more enticed to sell to these cash buyers, partly because banks avoid risk for a living. And so one of the things that they're trying to do is they're trying to sell to a cash buyer who then won't have any sort of lending restrictions with regard to inspections and termite and that type of thing. So investors that are cash investors, that's what a bank is looking for primarily.
Oh, okay. Now, someone that maybe is looking to get in the REO investment market, I mean, is it a good suggestion? Is it already very saturated with enough investors? What's your take on all of that?
Well, there are a lot of investors out there. It doesn't mean that you can't win as an investor. What I would suggest is know what you're getting into. In other words, if you're an investor and you're a first-time investor or second-time, that type of thing, if you're new to this, I would try to avoid REOs altogether. And the reason I would is because there's just too much risk involved. You don't know what you're getting into. You could have a cracked slab, not know about it. There's all kinds of things all kinds of areas where you could lose, tons of pitfalls. So for an experienced investor, absolutely would be something that I would look at. An experienced homeowner who's owned several homes and feels comfortable with that kind of risk, that's a different story. But somebody who's new to it, I would absolutely suggest that they go, if they do it, approach with caution.
Okay. Now tell me, what kind of advice would you tell someone that's facing a foreclosure, maybe on your realtor side of things? You know, someone that's maybe got a 90-day late or whatever it may be, and they're facing a foreclosure. What would your suggestion be?
Well, I would suggest that they know their options. A lot of people, just by human nature, feel like they've done something wrong. These homeowners feel like that they've done something to cause this. A lot of times, most of the time, this is something that's been done to them. This is a market that's shifted. It's something that they bought at the top of the market and now the market's, dropped and they owe more on their house than it's worth, that kind of thing. They've lost a job. They're underemployed. Like I talked to a gentleman the other day that's working 2 jobs, still not making what he used to make with his 1 full-time job. And he's working more hours. So this is something that's happened to them. This is an economy thing, right? A market thing. It's not them. So don't go into your shell. Let's listen to somebody who's trustworthy. Listen to somebody who knows what they're doing, who has experience in this business, that can sit down with them and help them with their options. If they're looking to do a loan modification, go to NACA.com, NACA.com. Okay. If they're looking to do a short sale, I'll be more than happy to work with them and be more than happy to help them with their options. If they're looking to do a refinance, there's a thing called HARP 2.0. In fact, Kenny mentioned it earlier. That's something where a lender can actually lend and do a refinance for somebody who's actually upside down, who actually owes more on their home than it's worth.
Okay. So your suggestion would definitely be to seek professional advice,
Absolutely.
A realtor, a lender, a professional, not just looking online and maybe reading the latest blogs of what they think's going on.
Yeah, I would stay off the internet. What I would do is sit down with somebody who's been there and done that, and I absolutely have, where you can sit down with them and go through their options and find out what's best for them.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Mike. The insight has been amazing.
My pleasure.
I would like to thank our guests for joining us today, and we would encourage you, if you have any questions or comments, to email us at the email address below. And again, thanks for tuning in to Smart Real Estate. Everything you've always wanted to know about real estate, but just weren't sure who to ask.